What's up, everybody? Josh or Miho here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the new album from the band Vomitor, entitled The Escalation. This is released on Hells Headbangers Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they're based out of Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. And the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very volatile hybrid of death metal mixed with some thrash metal. I mean, if you were to think of early Slayer, early Sodom, some Hellhammer, and a little bit of Possessed, you would have the sound that Vomitor are going for. This is their third full-length album, and their second after pretty much being gone for a while. They came out with a debut in 2002 called Bleeding the Priest, but we didn't get a second album until 8 years later, 2010, with Devil's Poison. Now we have this third full-length record, and if I'm not mistaken, a couple of members of this band used to be in a really awesome blackened thrash kind of band called Gospel of the Horns. Some really awesome stuff. They came out with a great EP last year, and getting to know about this band and hearing about what they've had to offer really piqued my interest, and I wanted to check this out. So I was at my local record store, and I saw this in the front of the store, the display case. So put my $10 down, bought it, picked it up, listened to it a few times, and let me just run down some thoughts for you. It's 7 tracks, and it runs around 30 minutes in length, so I'll just get the one negative out of the way. This is a really short record. I wish it wasn't so short, but for the 7 tracks you get on this album, you're going to be taken back to the past. This album is truly a blast from the past. It takes you back to the earlier days of heavy metal, and it just has that really dark, twisted, blackened edge to it. I mean, like I said, there's elements of so many different bands, like the German thrash metal of the day, like Creator, Destruction, and Sodom, to bands like Hellhammer, early Celtic Frost, Slayer, hell, even maybe a little bit of Destroyer 666 and Napalm Death in there too. I'll explain as I go along. The one thing that holds your attention throughout this entire record is the guitar. The guitar riffs on this record are just absolutely flooring. They are very, very catchy. These are the kind of guitar riffs that get stuck in your head and stay there, and that's the point being of this record. This album starts off with a couple of minutes of just guitar tuning and just the sound of pretty much hell awaiting you. And then once it gets into the song Pitch Black, and then all the way throughout, it's just absolutely monstrous. The riffs are just absolutely crushing, just the way the leads are, the high-end riffs. The solos are just crackling, very old school qualities to them. I really enjoy the way the guitars are played here. And the same can be said for the bass. The bass has a really good audible kind of quality to it. It doesn't interfere with the guitar mix too much, but it's well heard enough to where you can appreciate what's going on. The drums, I said this earlier, I can feel a little bit of a Napalm Death influence in my opinion, because the drums, just the way they sound and the way they start, it reminds me a lot of Scum era Napalm Death. Just the way the blast beats sound, just the way the thrash beats are, just the way the double bass is, the snare, it just sounds filthy. It sounds dingy. And that's another thing to point out about this record. This album was recorded live. It was recorded for a couple of hours live. And it just has that really dirty, dingy, nasty feeling to it. It doesn't sound too glossy or clean. That's not the point of this record. And I think that production sound really brings out the best in this band. And going back to the drums, there's just a lot to enjoy here. I love the patterns. I love the way the snare sounds. I just love the way that the blast beats are delivered. It's very memorable, very creative. I enjoyed it a lot. And the vocals, again, take you back to older days of heavy metal, back when vocals had that almost echoey type of sentiment to it. You hear the growling and the barking and the throatiness of this singer just the way he delivers the vocals and just that extra echo thrown in there just for that added chaotic effect. I think it works. I don't know how some others might feel about that, but I think the inclusion of the echoes in the vocals sound really solid. I really enjoy the vocal style of this guy. He's got a throat to him, and he just delivers incredible vocals, and the lyrics are sick too. Major props to that. Like I said, I wish this album wasn't so short. I wish I would have heard more of this. I wish there was more to hear, but for what you get, this is incredible stuff. And I recommend this to anybody who's a fan of blackened death metal with some thrash, death metal that has that early 80s vibe and influence. Vomitor is definitely the band to check out. I'm going to leave you some links in the description box to where you can stream this album, hear it for yourself, be your own judge. Also to where you can buy it. You can buy it from Hells Headbangers. They also have vinyl copies of this, black and red vinyl, and really cool little foil embossing on the record sleeve. I think it's really, really cool looking. So if I had to pick any choice tracks, I'd have to say the opening track, Pits of Nightmares, Pitch Black, Salem Witch's Grave, Hell Bursts to Fight, and the closing track, Horrors of Black Earth. Some really great stuff. So again, the album is The Escalation by Vomitor. This is released on Hells Headbangers Records. Go pick this up, and I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. Really, really solid blackened death thrash, whatever you want to call it. It's old school, it's sick, and it definitely deserves to be heard. So give it a shot if you like old school death metal or thrash or whatever. Support Vomitor. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Armijo out.